Good morning, Illumineers. We are back for day 2. So I'm getting everything pulled up so you guys can see the exciting and wonderful action. But while I get that pulled up, I have the lovely and talented Clara with me. Clara, how are you doing today?
Doing wonderful. So, uh, let's see what we have today. We have Zan.
Surprise! It's Zan.
Yeah. So Zan is playing Sapphire Steel against FloodBornOwl. Flood
FloodBornOwl. He
FloodBornOwl.
he got me right. It's like superb owl, FloodBornOwl.
This player is playing Amber Steel. Oh my.
We're waking
It
up,
is a
guys.
rough
Yeah.
morning.
We're already, look, okay. We're all going to get it together. I promise. But yeah. All right. We got that out of the way, though. You know, we have to get some nervous giggles and some stuff out of the way while we wake up. We're stretching. We're doing it. But yes, it is. It's kind of like we left off where we started, or sorry, we're picking up where we started yesterday, right? Because this is the last match we saw yesterday was Zan facing against Amber Steel, but it did not go super great in the sense that it was a loss for him. But this looks like a little bit of a different deck, or it might not be, but it's a different day for sure. So we're wondering how this one's going to turn out. And I'm working with, I know the footage is it looks a little choppy. So I am working with the wonderful staff on site to see, what's going on. So I will let you guys know. I'll keep you posted. Although that didn't work. Bear with me here. That looks not great for a second, but it's going to be okay. All right. There we go. That looks a lot better. Okay. So, Clara, we have seen, Zan play. This is round 8. We have really seen Zan do it all in the past 48 or not 48 hours. That's making it up. But in the past 24 hours, someone just said, should his name just be Archimedes? And by someone, I mean, it's Dan. This is, Dan gets all the accolades for being like our #1 supporter the past day or 2 days. So thank you, Dan, for being here. But yeah, a FloodBornOwl. Is there a FloodBorn Archimedes yet? I'm not sure. There should be. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm getting some other things pulled up. Okay, so we see a card here that I have not been super familiar with. It is Penny with the Good Parents. And Penny with the Good Parents is one that gives you, while you play this character, you remove 2 damage, and then you also give resist to the start of your next turn. So it is a nice thing to give to something like a Smee, because Smee takes a damage if there's no captain in play. So there is some synergy there. However, Along Came Zeus overpowers that synergy, unfortunately. As we just
Sadly, but we can see the potential for Penny as a go wide board strategy with a Smee. Playing her on turn 3 is really a good idea. You could protect a Piglet this way also, and questing more securely with it for 3 lore potentially.
Now, for anybody in the chat, please let me know if your audio, if one of us is, you're like, my ears, or you're like, I can't hear you. Let me know. I am the producer here, and I don't take offense. Unless you say something like kind of mean. If you're like, you stink. Viva la Pocket. That helps, honestly. Is that game, is the game over already? That was really intense. I am truly waking up at the speed of this. I got Dunkin' for people on the East Coast. I'm having dunks for breakfast, but it's not kicking in yet because I did not see the FloodBornOwl win that fast. Okay, let me see. It says that you, Clara, might be echoing. that should be fixed. So Clara, do you want to explain how you feel? I'm putting you on the spot. It's kind of a sound check, but also, did you see how fast that went? Like, what was the card that did they just go as fast as possible there?
I didn't see that. Unfortunately, I was cleaning my glasses.
Yeah, right. That's the kind of win where I looked down and I was like trying to fix a sound thing, and then also, at the same time I looked up and it's like, sorry, we're over. Also, I realized this chat is giant and we do not need to cover half of Zan's board. That's not appropriate. So we're here. FloodBornOwl just said, wake up. And I am awake now. The chat's the right size. The video's the right size. Clara, are you echoing? You can say either yes or no, and they will let us know. No, okay.
No,
now you're
just
messing
kidding.
with them. We can't handle that. We can't handle humor this early in the morning, unfortunately.
Okay. We'll do this 2-3 hours down the road.
Yeah, right. That's when we can start getting funky. That's when we start losing it, although we might have already lost it.
Well, we know those those tournaments weekends can be really tough on the system, on the brain, and we congratulate every competitive players in that tournament for doing the best they can, getting through all the motions. We know it's tough. We are in 8th round the second morning, so it can be really tough.
And how do you feel about that? This is the second tournament we've covered where they play a bunch of rounds and they go home and they finish it the next day. Do you like that? Do you like having a chance for the last few rounds you can sleep and then rally? Or do you like it where you're like, let's just get it done?
Well,
it's tough.
Yeah, it's really tough.
Well, I guess we'll see. I mean, I guess it depends too. Because I think it also, if you need a break, like in Zan's case, I think maybe it would be helpful to have like a little, okay, I'm going to take a little breather here to refresh. But if you're having a really good momentum, I think that would be when I'd be like, please. Because it'd be really hard if you're doing really well, you go home and the next day you lose and you lose. Because I think momentum's a real thing. You have like that really good feeling. And it's kind of hard if you go home and it's momentum, either you lose it or you get a chance. So I guess it's really hard to prognosticate what the right answer is on that.
That is true.
So Neverland is a card that is very, very interesting that didn't, okay, well, it's not, it existed. It's existed since set 3, but it's not been a card that people have played a lot. But with the advent of some of these slower Sapphire decks, we have seen that Neverland can be a kind of, I'll say a tempo card in the sense that it is on board and it just kind of sits there and it makes your opponent, 2 of them is definitely tempo, where it gains a lower turn, it's got 4 strength, and it's kind of saying, hey, do you want to mess with what I'm doing over here or over here? And it can kind of stick around on the board, and we're seeing it more in these diggy hole style decks, these more aggro style. And as you can see, Zan's doing the panic because Sapphire decks are very, very play line driven. They don't like being taken off their path of their perfect curve. What do you think about this advent of an early game location versus how Sapphire likes to do a mid or late game location?
Well, I gotta say that their best protection is a turn 3 Scrooge McDuck. And that leaves potentially turn 1 and 2 with some location lore.
Yeah, I will say, obviously Tamatoa is valued highly, but we have seen Scrooge as like the second most expensive card in the set. And not only is he out there just digging and digging for items, but he is swinging for strength, and he also is a brilliant singer for every song that is in this Sapphire Steel list. So out of 4 costs, 4 strength and willpower and getting item, and sometimes you get that item for free. He's becoming to me what I think is probably the VIP. We've seen him do so much work, and we're probably gonna. Why is there another location? I just looked away and again, and okay, so yeah. Scrooge has a lot to do, but there's another Scrooge, so that's the good news.
There's a 7 dwarf mine. This location is really powerful in the sense that it can just ping other characters. I don't know how it will do against two Scrooge McDuck now on Zan's side. So this is going well as much as it is humanly possible for Zan right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so funny. Yesterday, the number one used emoji was my dog going panic, 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 and you do sometimes get that panic feeling. But the good news is those Scrooges, yes, they don't get a quest, they don't get a thing if they're leaning into those locations, but they survive. So it's not fun, it's not great, but we know that Zan has a much more powerful top end than most of these aggro styled Amber Steel decks. However, we are looking at 10 versus 0, so Zan does have to put in some work here, get rid of these two locations. But then after that, unfortunately, FloodBornOwl doesn't have a lot of other tricks up his sleeves. I will say that one thing that I am dying to know is the makeup of this tournament. I want to know what percentage is brought. So I did say, hey guys, can you please give me that data? Apparently it's paper, and that's okay. But my God, I'm like, put me in there, or actually put it in a FedEx box, mail it to me. I'll analyze it because I'm so interested to see where we're at data wise. Because me and poor Clara probably feel like, oh, so everybody brought blue steel. That's crazy. But that's not the case. But I do think it might be slightly the case, right? Like, I know that we're kind of in a little trap. Are you curious about that data?
Yeah, I'm really curious. I want to see what is one of the question I have is the meta um is the meta more steel removal or ruby removal?
Yeah, and we're going to get a good hint here in about 2 rounds because we will get the once they get to the top 8, it will be public deck list. Now, we all know it's not instant. My gosh, that'd be cool if it's just like the moment we get to the top 8, it all appears. But at least we'll get to see the top 8 by the end of today. But I will be digging for all of it. But we still see FloodBornOwl hanging in here. We see Penny back out. Penny out here saying, I'll help you, Doc. I'll give you resist. Maybe, I don't think that was his number one plan, but I do think, he has one card in hand, so he's kind of playing whatever's in his hand and what he has the ink for. Meanwhile, Zan is finally breathing a little bit. All 3 locations are off the board. Both his ducks are happily sitting there, and now he's got Hiram and a Tamatoa. It's going to be pretty hard for FloodBornOwl to come back from this board state, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely with the amount of 4-drops and the happy Tamatoa, it gives a pretty impressive board on Zan's side. Being able to control the flow of lore gain from FloodBornOwl makes it so that the risk of losing is getting slimmer by the rounds.
In the chat, people can notice I have made a Zan Syed emote. I won't have that forever because that's kind of creepy if I don't have it outside of this tournament, but it's important because I was going to get a red sticker that says Zan Cam, but I thought that was too much. So instead, we get the Zan emote. But you are on Zan Cam. This is a Zan Cam fam. Zan Cam fam where we see the Zan plan, where the Zan plan is you're watching it. It's make your opponent do unfavorable things like play a poor little Rapunzel that can't get any card draw.
Yeah, the sadness of 0 card draw Rapunzel. See that 5 times fast.
The Zan Cam fam with the Zan plan. I don't know. I'm running out of. You guys can work on it, and then I'll get it. The Zan emote is evergreen. He is always something. I can't do anything fast right now, Dan. I want to eat my Dunkin', but I have to wait. I got a Boston cream, and I feel like, is Dunkin' a thing in Pennsylvania? Probably not. That's more of like a Boston thing. You might notice I'm not commentating much right now, and that's because, my gosh, look at this. Look at what's happening over there. Zan is finally just really comfy. One little even here, let the storm rage on. That's just to draw a card. We see another
Bring
storm in his
over.
hand.
We have a Pete. That might allow some scoop.
Well, yeah, he's like, hey, okay. You know, and that's, you know, you love to see it when someone's like, I'm going to play this because I want to, but I also agree that we need to go to the next game. And, you know, this is the morning. We got a long day ahead of us.
Yeah, I gotta say, it is a moment like you put a Pete into play and you're like, hey, you don't have anything to say, I will scoop.
Yeah, you can't
action
even,
there.
No action. And that means no back talk either. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and start the ad. So, subscribers, you get to be here with us. I've gotten a couple subscribers over the weekend, which was very exciting. People who, I'm like, and now I feel like I need to do cool stuff because if I have subscribers, with great subscribers come great responsibilities. But I am going to do a giveaway this Tuesday. I'm going to be giving away one each of the League kit pins, so the Bolt, the Mad Hatter, and the Amber symbol. And then I'm also going to give away the promos. And then if I get to 200 followers, I'm going to give away a 4 dozen egg promo from PAX 2023. So I just want to say thank you for being a friend. And subscribers get 3 times the chance. So that's something you guys get to know right now. But I'm going to say that at other times because like I want people to know how cool that is. There are 2 tragic heroes on stream over on the other side of this. That's wild. I should pull up the other stream so I can kind of see what's going on there secretly, because I don't like to talk about the other stream because I'm afraid if they say it looks really cool, people will go there. But you guys are my 19 real ones. You would never. So I'm not afraid of you guys leaving. You would never do that. Please don't. Okay, there we go. Tragic hero. That's crazy. It's crazy to see tragic hero. Because there was a time, dear listeners, where all it took was a sentence, dies to Medusa. And people were like, okay, it's gone. And we're not afraid of Medusa anymore. We're afraid of everything now.
Like when the big comment is like,
yeah. Now it's like, coil exists. So the conversation of it's vulnerable to something that gets rid of something with strength, just don't worry about it. Because now coil's here. So more it's about get rid of coil and then we can start talking about Medusa again, I feel.
You're like, anything is banished by anything. And you're like, the board, the field is just like temporary. Nothing remains there.
No, everything's so fragile now. In a world of coils, in a world of, we've seen that it used to be prepared. It was like, man, I don't like Ruby. This is I don't know who I'm doing an impression of, but man, I don't like Ruby because Ruby has be prepared and be prepared's so annoying. Be prepared doesn't, no one's even, like, be prepared is like the least of people's worries right now. Be prepared is a gentle breeze because at least it wipes the other person's board too. We've moved past be prepared. We'll still see it, but it's crazy how fast the conversation seems to change. It kind of changed this set really, where we now have coil, which makes any deck with Sapphire menacing.
Whether you are using Under the Sea or using red strength-based removal, or you just want to use the muses ever and ever, forever, you have this tool that is the coil, and it is the time of the machine where everything else feels kind of weak.
Exactly. So, but we are seeing a good start from both players here. Both are putting out some of their favorite stars. We see that Neverland, which it's interesting. It's so weird to see a favorable start with Cinderella versus seeing Neverland. But another thing I didn't point out when I brought it up last time I brought this up a couple minutes ago, is that Little Miss Belle over here, she can sing songs. She can sing a song to get rid of Cinderella because she can sing Strength. She can sing Let the Storm Rage On. Neither of those songs will do anything to Neverland. So Neverland is kind of sitting there in the special sweet spot where you can't really do anything about it unless you challenge with Belle. And so basically it forces you to use your bell suboptimally, so to speak, because it doesn't give you that little target of a Cinderella that is very easily taken down by those two songs.
True. In a world where Belle is there, Belle is slightly on top of Cinderella in terms of singing and board presence capabilities. Ooh, Rapunzel's Tower.
Yes. Okay. So let me. And this is, I don't know how to say this privately. Did you get the new link for the latest and greatest card switcher? Yes, I think they sent it to you last night.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, Rapunzel's Tower is very interesting, and we saw that all the way back yesterday, this time, in a match with Talaman Purple, who used Rapunzel's Tower to basically put everything out of reach because he put his entire board there and everything got just beefed up. And by beefed up, I mean +3 willpower, which is a problem. It changes the math by quite a bit. I don't know what that sound was, but it was really exciting for me. But also, probably should find a way to turn it off. Please hold.
At least we don't do the this morning.
Yeah, right. It wasn't like an air horn, but it was a fairy going, yeah! And I love it. Oh, someone followed me. Okay, I'm going to work on that chat. Don't worry. That's what I'm going to say. Don't worry. I got this probably. All right, so now we see Smee, who is, he's still taking damage. It doesn't change that, unfortunately. However, it does bring him to a willpower of 6, which is kind of annoying in a lot of ways because Zeus deals 5, so now people have to throw their whole body into getting rid of that Smee. You can't just use one song or action. You have to use 2 and or a song. You have to use a combination of things. Or take down the tower, which at 8 willpower is also not easy, especially because he has a Hiram and a Bell sitting here.
There's a good question in the chat. It is the 60 minimum. You don't have any maximum number of cards.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's not that. People are like, oh, so I can put as many as I want. But then it becomes like, okay, well, but you want to draw the cards you put in your deck. So most people, you'll see people be like 62, 64. Sometimes you hear people going against an anti-mill strategy, which means they don't want to run out of cards. But most people will stay at 60 because ultimately you are looking for the optimal configuration of cards. And if you do that, you're saying, why would you make it where you're not going to draw the cards that you put in your deck? Clara, what are your circumstances you go above 60?
Really rarely, when I really can't do any cuts and I really want all the cards I have in my deck. As it is for Amber Steel aggro deck we've seen the turn right now, Let the Sun Rage On and Daisy Duck, all the setup we see on the board, we want to have those cards reliably, so we don't want to have extras in the deck.
And if you're not sure about, because you mentioned kind of like, well, in Magic, so the thing about that's very different with Magic is your resources or your mana is your ink, and ink is your cards. So it's kind of, I don't know how much you know, but the short version is we don't have to worry about sideboards as much. We don't have to worry about those things because ultimately every 60 cards in those decks is dedicated to cards you can play. Now there are non-inkable, so there's some cards that are a little bit stronger, therefore you cannot turn them into ink, which we generally run at a 20% ratio. But Lorcana has a bigger grace where you're able to put more cards into your deck that could be used to do fun stuff. This is the short version. That's the Cliff Notes version of why you want to keep it to 60 and it's not as stressful as it sounds like in Magic.
Yeah, exactly. And we've seen examples throughout this weekend of cards that are really essential, that are 4-ups, the maximum in any deck. We could think about the powerhouse of Scrooge McDuck, the Hiram Flaversham, the Bell, the Happy Tematoa in the Sapphire Steel deck. However, we see other options included in some decks too, as 1 or 2-ups that needs to be respected to answer threats from other decks.
We saw something very, very interesting last night in a matchup much like this. where you can lose because you run out of cards. So that's the other thing. That's why you'll see cards that shuffle cards back in your deck. Sometimes people will put in a card called Chernabog Deceiver. No, it's not Chernabog Deceiver of all. That'd be pretty. That's Ursula. But Chernabog, who he's not in this deck because that is not what they are running. But you will see him. He is a Chernabog Evildoer, and essentially he'll take your banish pile and put it back into your deck, because we saw Zan get, as they call it, decked, milled, where essentially the player said, hey, let's draw 7 cards. And the player that played the card could draw 7 cards. Zan could not, resulting in Zan losing the game. So card count does matter, but there are ways around it. And honestly, mill or decking strategies have not taken off a ton in Lorcana just because it's not a super viable strategy yet. It still hasn't gotten the gas it needs. But people still try, and it happens on accident, as we saw yesterday. Or on purpose.
Yeah. True, like it is one of the weaknesses of decks in Sapphire, or that tends to draw more and more cards and ramp more and more. They tend to mill themselves really easy to get those answers, such as the 80s we see into play, and we have the Straight of Raging Fire played to deal effectively with the Smee. So great turn for Zan there. But if you can't draw, you can't find those answers really easy. So that's the counterpart.
Yeah, poor Smee. He's a hero, but unfortunately he can't do everything. He is something where you will see him in many Steel Song decks because it's great having someone come in for 2. But he also becomes public enemy number 1, where it feels like the minute people see him on board. So Lily Fox Art says, I just got Shimmering Skies. Welcome to the party. You're going to love it here. Shimmering Skies was a great set, but Azurite Sea, or not Azurite Sea, the newest set, it's really pretty too.
Arcasia's Island.
What was that?
Arcasia's Island.
Okay, yeah, right. The fact that they both start with an A has broken my brain. The panic emoji's out. So is Zan panicking? Because now we're looking at FloodBornOwl. He keeps rebuilding his board with these pesky little locations. And Zan has used a lot of his, let's see. We know he uses Zeus. But he's got a Hades. But to Lily Fox Art.
There's Zeus in their hand.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think can Zan feel panic? Have we seen Zan feel panic? He is the most collected man. I've seen him play in person, and I've seen him win. He is a very, Floodboard might be panicking, for what it's worth. We're all panicking. Honestly, I'm panicking until I finish what is in front of me. Once you see the Hades, it is panic time, because there really is, there we go. Let's all panic together. Because, good point. Looking at it, I'm like, 4 cards. But Rapunzel, she swings for 1. Doc, another one where he can draw you cards, but after that, he's just sitting there and looking pretty. He's not doing really a lot else, unfortunately. And he's a 1/3, so he's got a little bit of a willpower on him, but he quests for 1. And as we see here,
might be the one you need.
Yeah, another dock would be nice. A top deck. If you're going to top deck, a dock is always quite great. Discarding nothing feels pretty good. I've gotten some followers, and I want to say thank you, but okay, I can say thank you to Andrew River. I can say thank you to Lorekeeper and Amalgamated Walrus. You guys are testing me here. But for those tuning in, we are on. Did I miss Zan win the second game, or did they already just say it's over? Is it so laggy that they said this game is over?
No, Zan did won the second game.
I'm having amnesia? What's going on here? Oh my gosh. Holy bananas. Okay.
It is tough morning.
It is. I forgot it must have been fast. Perhaps because I know FloodBornOwl won really fast. And then Zan must have won really, really fast. Wow. Well, we are 2 professionals.
We got a Pete and a Benja on the other side last turn from FloodBornOwl. That means an item got away, and there's no action that can be played this turn. So that limits the number of options Zan has to control the board and just be able to build a board state. So instead, we're building the second plan, that is the Lucky Dime.
Yeah, and Lucky Dime is a card that I think you mentioned yesterday. Kind of people are like, well, maybe we don't need Lucky Dime anymore. But Lucky Dime is very, very powerful in this current meta because you can play it for free if you have an Oswald, which Zan is off the Oswald list. But you also can play it when Tamatoa shifts, or in this case, Zan has so much ink, he's just gonna play for it. Why not? You know, if you got the ink, you might as well do it. So he was able to get rid of that dock. Another dock comes down, which is, like I said, great thing. And we see a Strength of Raging Fire, which could get rid of that bell and let him draw another card. To Fox, do Lorcana cards go out of rotation? No, not yet. Maybe one day. We are on set 7. No cards have gone out of rotation. Only one card has been errated as of yet, like fundamentally. But who knows? It's a baby.
And we have Lawrence on the other side on the same turn. Do we have enough resources to put anything into the Rapunzel's tower?
He has 2 ink. So the Rapunzel Tower is, I believe, 1 to move there. 1. So yeah, he could send, but he also has strength, which he might want to hard cast to just draw another card. I'm not sure how he'll play that or if he'll sing it. But I know that for him right now, lore is pretty important. So he's, he did the thing I do where you're like, do it. So he's going to put Benja and Lawrence in the tower because he doesn't have another Pete. So he can't stop any kind of removal song. So at least putting him in that tower makes Benja a 2/7, or no, 2/6, and Lawrence a 4/7 because he has no damage on him.
Okay, so what are the outs for Zan here? We do want to control at least 2 characters. At the very least. I'm not sure if Donald Duck Musketeer is played in this deck.
I love him.
So it is not a card that is normally played in this deck. But if it is there, it could be instantly trouble for Zan. I don't believe it is.
No. But if he
never
did,
know.
I know, right? He could try. I wouldn't be mad. But Zan, even without that, Zan has to either win this turn, which without a very shiny crab with a lot of items is tough because he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on board. You can have that Hades dime, which makes it 7. Definitely that's not 20. So he could spit out some items, but still, even with that, that's not going to change without a Tamatoa. So long story short, his biggest problem is he can't get to 20, and he has to remove these 2 characters in the tower who are at 6 willpower and 8 willpower respectively, or the tower, which itself is 8 willpower. And still then those characters still need to be gotten rid of.
You could efficiently remove the Pete and the Benja and still be having another turn. So this way you could probably play a well, this is out of option right now. Playing Iram, probably digging for some answers. We see a Strength of Raging Fire and a Pete on the other side. Probably is playing a Pete the right thing? Probably not. But it is still a character to put into play for the following turn. So, what do you think?
All of it seems very unlikely. I mean, that's where it seems like a very big hill here. The tower really messes with the math, and we saw that. Zan's already seen this tower math before, and the biggest thing I'm thinking about is the fact that Zan has to win this. Because, I mean, ultimately, if he drops this game, he is not making the top 8, which would end Zancam. Now, we might still get Zancam next round. But we see strength in his hand. You're doing analytical play, and I'm like, we might lose Zan. But he hasn't enchanted a Long Game Zeus, so we're starting some work here. Enchanted Long Game Zeus still deals 5 damage, but it does it in a dazzling way.
Okay, so we have been able to deal with the tower on top of the other 2 characters, meaning that we are not losing. And we could be like setting up for a next turn. We don't have any remaining characters to quest with. However, we ink. Are we doing anything else? Doesn't seem like it.
It's so crazy because, I mean, this deck that Zan's playing is such a formidable deck, but we have seen twice now that a low to the ground, non-song, I mean, there's obviously still songs in this deck, can give so much trouble to this deck. That being said, Zan did a very effective job cleaning up the other side of the board, but it is like my husband just texted me, Dan just said in the chat, how surprising is it that this very simple low to the ground aggro style Amber Steel not song titrated deck, I mean, we don't see Cinderella, we don't see Ariel, I don't think we have any singers other than characters that just can sing if they feel like it. Oh, that's a good
Pete is dangerous.
Wow, someone just gave out 10 subs. I'm assuming because
wow,
we got a sub in the chat for to rally for Zan to get through this, and the answer is he doesn't. Or that was the win there, right?
the win for whom?
I mean,
we've seen a Doc and a Pete that was not enough to win on the spot.
Yeah, he put a Calhoun. He showed that. Yeah, he showed Pete. So maybe the Pete just saying that, like, hey, you can't do any spot removal. He had a Pete and a Doc on the board, which is 2 lore. Zan,
was there Pete on Pete?
They have 20 on him. Okay, so yeah, the fact.
Oh,
okay. Thank goodness. Okay. Because, yeah, I'm like, help. That was, and so this is, okay, so this has been the roughest way to start a day because this match, they've been playing fast and furious. And also, they both have been having moments where, like, I see what's happening here and I'm done. So the answer of what happened there is with Dime on board, which he kept the last, maybe as a token to show to us that the Dime, it's all inevitable. So Zan kind of won that by the seat of his pants a little bit. And he really, really needed that win because now he may bubble in, which we will talk about. What is the bubble? So we're going to switch to our shining, beautiful faces, which means I have to make sure that I don't have any Duncan on my face. We'll see about that. But let's go ahead and switch to us. I'm scared.
Just one moment.
Oh, yes. Well, you have your not real. You don't have your placeholder, so you don't have to worry. Or you can turn on your camera.
Yeah, it will be there really soon.
But you give me good morning. Okay, I don't look like I have Duncan on my face. I'm awake. I got a Figment pin. I even put on a blazer because this is a big game, y'all. So let's talk a bit. I'll give you guys a little bit of recap. Then we got Clara. We're the gang's here. But yeah, like Dan says, it shows how important it is to understand the matchups. And yeah, because I mean, when I was looking at that, I was like, wow, it's kind of over, right? But it's a game of inches sometimes. And in that case, having a Dime already being, I think he was at 10 lore, and knowing that his opponent, I want to say Superb Owl, was FloodBornOwl. FloodBornOwl didn't have enough firepower to deal with what Zan had. So really it was just, can you respond? And it got to the point where Zan had enough pressure where it was over. But it was definitely kept him on his toes the entire game. And it kind of shows that Amber Steel is a deck that can be a big menace to this big bad of Sapphire
Oh
Steel.
yeah, definitely the matchup isn't easy for any of the decks. That's for sure. Like Amber Steel might have a slight advantage, uh, just because um, of how reliable it is in the first turns to really put a lot of pressure and arrive at a moment in the game where anything that they put on board is a threat, and Doc is essentially drawing two cards on an empty hand to put two other threats on board. So all the setup, or also Amber Steel songs, could use the weakness of the draw engine of Sapphire Steel to just effectively mill that deck on the long run. So all in all, the both players need to understand how the other deck works in order to mitigate their weaknesses and be able to put forward their plan without just compromising compromising anything.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing that I'm surprised to see is so we've seen that a Steel Song can have a pretty spectacular impact. But we also saw last weekend that discard can have an impact. But we haven't personally seen that. We haven't seen Zan face against a single Emerald deck for 8 rounds. So that is why I'm desperate to see how things work out in the next top 8 because we've only seen what Zan has been against. So I don't know. That's what I'm very curious to see because last week we were like, oh, okay, this is how the meta is going to shake out, and then we got to the point where we saw the top, and it was very, very, very surprisingly had 4 out of the 8 were Emerald Steel discard. So interested to see if that's going to be in the top. Now I do know on the other stream we have another very, very similar matchup, and I'm wondering if I can show it. So somebody in the chat said, and somebody, not just somebody, it's a Manny Levity. So catch up. Thank you, the anonymous gifter. That is very nice. But also, Manny Levity, what color combo's on the top? Not to put you on the spot, you don't have to answer it, but do you want to give them like the hot overview of what the hot colors are right now?
Color combos, I believe, that are really on top right now. That includes Sapphire Steel, Amber Steel. We've seen them. Otherwise, we have. I think Amber Emerald is getting up there with the Chernodog version of the deck, where what you want to do is play aggressively on board with highly willpower characters and use the power of either Lady or Tramp to to get back the cards from your discard pile or filter through your hand and get what you need. And in Amber, you have Chernobog. Chernobog Evildoer is one of the best cards to deal with steel decks. Steel decks cannot deal with the 9/9 really effectively. So this deck can really go up there, I believe. Ruby Sapphire is still a strong deck, even though people are running after the shiny new toys, as always in any sets. We are only in the first. We are only 2 weeks after the release of the new set, so we are still in the phase of we want to try the new things, and then everything will settle down.
Yeah. So I mean, basically, the biggest bad right now, the one that okay, to give you the biggest plot, we are watching Zan Syed, who he has won. He's both won a DLC and he was in the top 8 of so Disney Lorcana Championship, which is the most competitive circuit of play right now. It's the sanctioned, rather, it's the official sanctioned Lorcana play ring. So Zan is playing blue steel, which is called sapphire steel. So the ink, sorry. You'll hear us mess up sometimes, but it's hard. So sapphire steel is kind of the big bad in the block right now, and that is because it got some very cool cards in this newest set. So what you're watching right now, if somebody says this is the best deck in the meta, I don't know if anybody can truly say that today, right now. So you'll see tier lists. I think a lot of people will agree there's a few decks that are like considered the best to choose. Those are going to be Amethyst Steel is one that you always see piloted. Like you mentioned, Amber Emerald is a contender because it can be very disruptive. This is Sapphire Steel, and it's got a lot of gas behind it, but then right next to it is Sapphire Ruby or Ruby Sapphire, which is a deck that is similar, but it has different style of removal. Ruby is going to be a lot more removal than damage. It's going to say, no, just get rid of certain characters. So I think those are the big four, plus Amber Steel, as we saw. Amber Steel's been always kind of there, just in the background, being like, I can sing songs, and that's really powerful. Although, as we saw in the last match, you don't always have to sing them for there to be a problem. So I would say those are the big four right now. I think I said five, though. So those are the big five.
Yeah.